Children of the land, do you hear echoes of truths that once rang clear? Two souls intertwined, one true love they did find, bringing land and heavens near. But flames that burn full bright soon fell dark.
Tweet from Whispering Dawn. At Limit Break Radio have decided that we are not a worthy podcast. We are the forgotten podcast.
I guess I left that going too long. I'm sorry. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 7th episode of the Whispering Dawn podcast. 2 more, and we are going live.
Woohoo!
Oh, snap.
We are mainly a weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I am your host, and my name is Lothal Thorwylith. And as usual, I'm joined by other lovely co-hosts. Today we got 2 of them. Hopefully some more show up. If not, then it happens. First we got Giganta Thighs.
Hey, yo.
And we also got Aerith Piverith.
Hi.
Now, I'm just going to go through this stuff real fast because I actually want to get to some of our topics here for today. As usual, you can find us on iTunes and Stitcher. That's pretty much awesome. But you can follow us on Twitter at whispering_dawn, Tumblr, the whisperingdawn.tumblr.com. And we now have a new Facebook account, facebook.com Whispering Dawn. Or if you want, you can actually contact us at our email address, which is thewhisperingdawn@gmail.com. Having said all that, how are you ladies doing today?
Bada-do Titan.
Hating Shiva right now.
I just wiped about 5 or 6 times on Shiva before we were able to clear.
Got no problem clearing her, just got a problem getting the darn pony.
Well, you ladies ready for us to go live?
Absolutely.
Heck yeah.
Well, I did forget to mention there, we do have a new Twitch account. You can find us at, what else? Whispering Dawn.
Get it.
So, we got the Twitch account. I'm currently crazily trying to get all the graphics ready for it. 2 weeks is not as long of a time as I thought I was going to have, so...
Yeah, it goes by pretty quick.
But we should be up and running by then. Hopefully. If not, then I just get a last-minute cram session where I'm trying to get everything done and perfected.
It'll get there.
We are going to try to stream before the live show to, it's just a stream. And Aerith, you still got a mini-sode with you to do yet, a one-on-one. You want to try that live?
Sure, I was called out. I accept the challenge.
Okay, so we'll try to do that before the episode as well, so that way we can test everything and get everything all hunky-dory, I guess. But, let's...
Sounds good. I don't mind being the guinea pig.
That's good. I'm glad. However, you ladies weren't on our last week's show. Actually, the only person that was on it is not even here today, but that's neither here nor there. Before we start everything else, what were your impressions on that whole the skills list and everything from the live letter last week?
Oh my God, that is so much. It was so much info, and it was awesome. It was great seeing actually getting to see him go on and play, and I main as a monk. Um, it just made me want Heaven's Sword so much sooner because I'm dying to try these new abilities and see how it's gonna change my rotation, and it just awesome.
Okay, Yenta, what did you think about that?
I didn't get to really get into it at all, which
Oh,
is unfortunate. I think the only few things that I've actually seen and heard about were maybe a couple of skills and what the new armor is going to look like.
oh, okay. Um, the music that we actually listened to in front of this episode is actually from the trailer, and it's such a beautiful song.
Yes, it is.
And since you've seen this trailer and the trailer that we got the last live letter, do you think this should have been the trailer we should have gotten then that we were promised beforehand?
No, because I think in true SC fashion, they like to whet the appetite and they like to bait you and keep you going, wanting for more. I mean, there was such a long stretch from when it was announced to when it would be released that they had to keep the interest up. So they had to release it at different times. So I actually think the way they released it was awesome because it just made it that much more, it just made you want it, Heaven Sword, like right now, like yesterday.
Okay, so like there's two parts of that trailer that I did go over with Sierra last week, and I just want to get your opinions. One, do you think after seeing that trailer that the Silents are still alive?
Yes.
Okay, because to me, like I said last week, just the way that the music fell, like the lyrics, it just seemed to me that they were talking about sacrifice, so that's what made me think, okay, maybe they are dead.
I think not all of them survived. Um, who didn't survive is going to be what the big question is going to be. I don't think they would kill them all off in one fell swoop like that. Um, so I think as Heaven's Sword progresses and you go through the story quest, you'll kind of unravel that and come encounter with or find some of them that managed to survive, and you're going to be regrouping. That's what I'm hoping. Um, and that's kind of what I get just from SE, um, how do I say, history, I guess, and how they tend to do things. Um, you know, just I don't think they're all dead. I don't think so. I don't think they would do that.
Okay, and then the other question is, there's a theory that Tataru was actually one of the was it the brass blades or whatever? And I don't know, after this, like the one part where she like looks at the people and then kind of just, I don't know, just like looks away real fast, kind of makes me maybe that there's some validity in that theory.
Um, I don't know because that to me seems like a very two-sided blade. Essie is very good about deceiving you and making you want to think one thing, and it turned out to be something completely different, as we just saw with how storyline just ended leading up to Heavensward. Um, so I kind of want to say that no, it's implied that she is, but she really isn't, that there's a hidden agenda behind what transpired.
Oh, okay. Can I get into any thoughts there?
Actually, Gareth covered it pretty well.
Why, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so after the podcast, we actually got a somebody that gave us a hands-on of some of the stuff that they were able to touch over in France during this whole excursion with SC. And I kind of want to go over some of it because some of this is amazing, especially when it comes to some of the skills for the new classes.
All right.
Okay, so we know about the Dark Knights, and it's a tanking job, of course. It's going to be a mixture of two-handed great sword techniques and use of dark magic.
With dark names for everything. That's awesome.
Yep. They're going to be similar to warriors in that they are relentless in combat, employing many damages abilities that also debilitate their enemies while buffing themselves to take even more punishments. There's going to be 2 stances because we know about this. Dark Side and Grit. Dark Side will gradually drain your NP, but will have enhanced skills to do additional damage, and Grit will increase survivability and make it easier to gain aggro from enemies. They also get a skill called Living Dead, and I love this ability, and I love the name, but I love what it does too. It's an ability which, during its duration, allows Dark Knights to persist through death. If they are healed to 100% health during the triggered effect, they will not die. But if not, they pretty much die afterwards. So what did we think about those little things?
I said before I've never tanked, and I'm gonna go into tanking with Dark Knight. Those abilities honestly sound kind of badass.
Yeah.
Um, Tying it all together, though, I think is going to be the trickiest part. I think a lot of tanks are going to try their hand at Dark Knight, being very used to Paladin or Warrior, and are going to fail miserably at it. And I think people who have no experience with tanking in the traditional tanking sense are going to grasp it better. Maybe black mages will get it more.
Okay, we're gonna go to Machinist, which we don't know a lot about. They've been kind of mum on this whole Machinist thing, and it's kind of driving me crazy a little bit. We
They're
do know
making
that,
it seem very boring.
yeah, they're gonna play the use of guns and turrets to barrage the enemy from afar, similar to bards. A lot of their most powerful abilities require ammunition to be preloaded, with some costing ever increasing amounts. And with the only 2 ways of getting ammunition, a quick reload cooldown for 1, and a longer reload ability that gives you a maximum of 5. Players will have to spend it wisely during combat. It's a nice element of resource management that rewards intelligent thinking, which is refreshingly different from the dull range DPS technique of standing in one place and spamming abilities. The guns can also be upgraded with different barrels, trading increased firepower for increased resource costs. Their turret drones come in 2 flavors, a ranged Gatling gun and an AoE lightning spammer. Interesting, they can both trade their offensive capabilities to be turned into a TP and MP generators that can affect allies in a large AoE. I do like the fact that they can turn into TP and MP generators.
Yeah, I mean, that'll come in handy, but with ninjas, you have to like ask constantly since there's no way for them to really gauge until they hopefully, from what Yoshida said, they're going to be putting the TP bar in so people can see it. They have no way of gauging unless you stop and ask, can you give me gold? So unless they can reflect our TP, they're not going to know if we're going to need it.
And that's going to be the same with these um, turrets too, because most of the time, most machinists that's going to come in there is just going to use them for DPS, and that's about it. So you might have to ask them, hey, can you turn the TP and MP thing on real quick?
Yeah, exactly.
But getting away from machinist, we go to the job that I'm most interested in, and during the skill things, it didn't seem to we got a lot of information, but with this hands-on, we got lots of information about it. One, their cross-gen classes is going to be white mage and scholar, kind of a no-brainer there.
Yeah.
And there's two different stances. In this hands-on, they actually named them incorrectly, but they named it Diurnal Sect and Nocturnal Sect. Diurnal Sect, which I don't remember what it is in English.
User in your channel timed out. User entered your channel.
And the former will add healing damage, whereas the latter adds an absorption barrier to many of their abilities. It basically gives them the versatility of both a white mage and a scholar, but they don't have the same throughput. It's balanced. The next thing is the card system, which we didn't know anything about. And an astrologian can at any point draw a card, which we know, out of 6 possible. I wonder if there's going to be more, because this is probably an incomplete build that they showed. But the 6 cards are increased attack speed, attack damage, 20% TP reduction cost, 20% MP reduction cost, a 20% ability recast time reduction, and a 10% increased damage taken. Yeah, that last one, they actually basically said that the QA staff that was present said, yeah, that's basically a bad card, because you can put it on your own person. So what do we think about those cards?
I don't know. I heard that one of the cards is going to be like a dud card.
Yeah, that's the 10% damage taken.
I kind of think that's hilarious that they threw that in. It's kind of like the ninjas. If you do it wrong, you get the bunny hat.
Well, the one thing I was talking to like my boyfriend about was that maybe what I'm going to do with it is if I draw that card and there's a DPS or somebody just, really making me mad, I can just throw them up there on them being like, okay, here, have an increased damage taken.
That is so wrong, but so awesome at the same time.
I'm sorry, but, you're kind of making me mad here, so here, just take 10%.
I don't know. Something about that is just so troll, and honestly, it just reminds me of Terra and how they added in a skill where you could leash people.
What do you mean?
It's like you can target a person and drag them all the way to you. So if it's like the tank, you can stop them from tanking essentially and just drag them like halfway across the map. And it's troll like that. If that makes any sense. Like, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it does.
Also, I found another new way to troll people in Titan. You can res them off the ledge.
You can what?
You can basically you res somebody like right before you jump off, and then you jump off and it'll res them off the ledge. And I kind of really want to do that right now.
I really want to see somebody do that, just not to me.
I'll record it and see if I can do it to somebody in my party.
Please do.
I will.
And then he goes on to explain some of the other abilities, like Shuffle will draw you another card on the spot. Royal Road will let you put the drawn card back into the deck and boost the power of the next card you draw. Boosted cards include increased 150% potency on effects card 1 and 2, increased buff duration on effects cards 3 and 4, or turn the power's effect into an AoE for party members effects 5 and 6. Yeah, that I don't like that one because if you pull the 6, which is the 10% increased damage taken, it's now a party-wide AoE.
Ouch.
I may not be able to do this specifically during Titan, but I will show it to you by the end of this.
Okay.
Also, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay. I didn't know you could actually do that.
There was a spell that I think my friend actually told me about, though, where you can heal and damage at the same time, which I'm not sure if that was a legitimate thing or not.
I know for White Mage, when they were going over the skills, there was something like that for the White Mage.
I hope so. That's going to be so fun. But
Okay.
then it also makes me wonder how it's going to work.
Yeah, we don't know yet. We won't know until we get the game in our hands.
Yeah.
So, after giving the new jobs a good run for their money, testing them all out and everything, they actually got to run one of the new dungeons. From what they said here, and he switched over to Monk. And we get one of the new dungeons, Shirleyan Library. It's a creepy yet wacky vibe. It's basically a deserted library. You got enchanted inkwells, you got books coming at you, and it said it reminded him heavily of Castlevania and strangely Castle of Illusions. The first box was a huge ominous book that he said bears a striking resemblance to the demon wall boss of Vanderborg Keep, and he plays very similarly.
That's the trick in it. They want you to think that it's going to run similar and then it's going to kick your butt.
Now, this last thing is making me want to play a monk, and even after reading it, I might actually do it. He was impressed with the new abilities that were given to monks. They've now been giving away to consume grease lightning stacks with Tornado Kick, which hits very hard. Casting Chakra or add a stacking Chakra buff to your character, giving you something to do during downtime. Once at 5, the Chakra can be spent either on a powerful attack or the ability to restore TP. There's also an ability called Elixir Drive, where your character will do a backflip, and while in midair, perform a satisfying Kamehameha like AoE beam towards the ground. He says it's awesome. He said monks can now spend a global cooldown to skip the form, which can help him upkeep combos between transitions.
You have no idea how critical and awesome that's going to be for monks. I've said it before, I main as a monk. I think for once monks caught the biggest break on anything this time. And I can't wait to see those things in use, especially the Kamehameha as homage to Dragon Ball Z. I think it's going to be wickedly awesome. I can't wait to do it and just start putting some serious damage.
I can see people macroing that into their skill sets.
Oh god, yes, I've already been thinking about how. I have to do something that's very Dragon Ball Z-esque for it.
Well, I've been doing the same thing with Astrologian and Yu-Gi-Oh! And actually card games in general about how to incorporate all those into it, so...
I do have to say that all of the monk moves are very, very impressive. I'm really happy about being able to... We now have the decision on what to do with our stacks. We get to increase them and we get to decide, do we want to put it towards a big attack? Do we need to restore our TP for longer damage dealing? But it's also going to have to be a finer balance for monks now, as far as keeping up their buffs, looking at their CDs. It's going to be a whole different world for monks, and it's going to just rewrite everything we've done, I think.
Oh yeah, I do agree with that, but how cool is it going to be just to do a backflip, and just do that
That's
elixir
like the
drive.
first thing I want to do. Like,
Yeah.
I want to know at what point do I get that? Is that going to be my level 60 thing? Because when I come on, I'm just going to take my monk to 60 first. And I want to know at what point do I get the Kamehameha?
That we're not gonna know, but like I said, it's making me want to play monk and actually get in there and play monk because just to be able to do a lot of that stuff is gonna be awesome.
Come to the dark side.
And we already know that there's a lot of anime influences now. One with monk and the DBZ reference now, and Astrologian with its Yu-Gi-Oh inspired thing. What anime is next? Attack on Titan, Sword Arts Online.
I don't think it's gonna be anything recent, because I mean, DBZ and Yu-Gi-Oh are both very, very old.
Naruto.
I'd like to see even Evangel. I can't even say it. I'm not even gonna.
Evangelion.
Thank you. Holy shit! I can never say it. Also,
See-
I went ahead and got the footage for you, Harry.
Oh, definitely want to see that. What if they did Naruto or like Bleach?
Well, I can see Naruto with the ninja.
And I could see Bleach for The Dark Knight, actually, with the whole Soul Reaper thing.
Yeah, I can see that too.
I don't know. It'd be kind of cool. I like the fact that they're incorporating some of the anime, because a lot of people that play these games, we do watch different animes and we really enjoy them. And those are little trinkets that they put in that, for certain people, it's awesome.
It is. It's very awesome. But going from the hands-on to an article that came up on MMORPG.com entitled "Is the barrier to entry too steep?" And I'm just going to read this and we can actually talk about it in the thing. In a post titled "New Players in the Expansion, Massive Barrier to Entry, You Must Be Warned." Blank, I'm not going to put this person's name out there, so I'm not going to do that, so I'm just going to call him blank for right now. Discussed how the currently known requirements to access Heavensward content in the future were a bit frustrating for somebody who preferred playing the game as a crafter-gathering type. He wrote after completing the main storyline up to 2.0, he dropped combat altogether to level crafting and gathering skills. To my dismay, he wrote, "In order to step foot in the new area, I must go back to my combat class and finish off a whopping 120 more quests. These quests so far have been mindless fetch/kill quests, and also having to rerun old dungeons with most of my abilities missing, since it scales you back." For most FF14 players who are avid fans, there is a well-known and long. This is a well-known and long-standing requirement. Simply put, to complete the questline up to patch 2.55, you need to get into trials and dungeons, with the last set of trials and dungeons require a minimum item level requirement of 90. I've even mentioned this in my prepping for Heavensward Pollen back in April. For the most part, due to the way the developers structured the game, it is now easier to acquire the dungeon currency needed to acquire item level 100 gear. Combined with some lucky drops, you should be able to reach a necessary item casually or rather quickly. The thing that struck me the most is when he wrote that the author read Blank's post. I think he's right when he mentioned the following: "Every MMO expansion I've experienced has had little to no barrier to entry. A simple level requirement and a couple introductory quests to the area at most." So, it just keeps going, but the question I'm posing to you ladies is the barrier for like crafters and gatherers too high? And even for like new players who's just getting into the game, is requiring the story up to 2.55 too steep of a barrier for a lot of these players? And is that going to cause a lot of players to like leave the game and never come back, or is it going to discourage new players from coming in?
I don't think so. I think that part of the SC culture is the storyline. Um, and it is being able to go through all of it, and they spend a lot of time, and the story itself is beautifully written. Yes, there are some mind-numbing fetch and get stuff, and for crafters it would be, if they're just wanting to craft, yeah, that could be potentially a problem, but each time they come out they make it easier and easier to get through these little hurdles. um, for a person coming in starting at level 1, um, I think the storyline is essential. I think it not only teaches them how to learn to use their class the right way, to be able to adapt to the environment and play well with others, or at least play with others. I think the storyline and making it a requirement is good. I mean, there are some of us that have been here and we've gone through it all. We've been doing it all as it comes. So why should it be any easier for somebody coming in now that Heavensward is coming out to just be able to skip all of that? You know, go through it, learn the game, understand where you're playing, what you're playing, and you'll get there. There are a lot of awesome people that will help people very easily get there. There are free companies. There's so many different ways. There are people that can level a character from 1 to 50 in a week. So it's not, I don't think, that much of an insurmountable task.
How about like I said, I mean, for Blank's post, I mean, it kind of makes me wonder what he did, like in the in between like the patches.
He was just crafting. I know one person who has a house next to my free company. Um, all he does is craft. He does not have anything leveled anywhere except for crafting. He does that every single day. That is all he does. He does not care for the storyline. He does not care for the primals, for battles. He doesn't care for any of that. So for him, it's going to be huge because he's been doing nothing but crafting, and he literally has not a single war or magic character up to 50.
So, no, does it? No, should we like people like that? Should we um exclude them from coming into Heaven's Word or into Ishgard because
I
of
don't
this
I don't
stuff?
think they should be excluded from Ishgard. I think there should be, an area directly outside where they can still access the things they need to be able to craft. Because there are going to be new things that are going to be made, new things that are going to be dropped, new recipes that they're going to have to learn, new areas to fish, new areas to, do everything. So I think they should have just a little bit more leeway, um, but not to an extent where it'll cover all of their storyline, if that makes any sense. If they want to do a storyline like anyone else, they need to do a character like anyone else. But if they just want to stick to crafting, there should be, I think, a little bit of leeway to allow people that just want to craft to craft. I mean, that's what they're paying to do. Let them do it.
But at the same time, I mean, isn't it just as simple to actually do the storyline? And I'm not talking about like people who just started crafting. I mean, in Blank's case, he finished the 2.0 storyline. No, theoretically, if he started from the beginning of 2.0, isn't it just like simple just to keep up with the storyline as it's coming out and the individual, updates?
It is because you can update yourself in 1 to 4 days, depending on how much time you have to put to it. Um, and I just think that if they stay up to date with things as they come out, then they should be fine and just meet the minimum level of what they need to get in.
Okay, but and I kind of agree with you on the new players, because one of the important aspects, like you pointed out, was the fact that you know given the mechanics of the game, you can learn how to play your class within that time span of doing that storyline. And it's not like the new classes are letting you start at level 1, they're starting at level 30. So at the point that you're able to get them, and so it's pretty much a good thing that not to let, new players come in, just start these classes right from the beginning.
Exactly.
So, Gayanta, do you have any thoughts on this?
Um, Not too much, as I myself have never really been into the crafting scene, except for, I really do think they should give more leeway, as you were saying earlier. But at the same time, if you play the game, I really think you should try and play at least some of the story and not just focus purely on crafting. But you pay for what you pay for.
Well, I guess we're kind of in agreement here because I agree with that too. And let's actually just use this as a good segue into our next conversation, which is is anybody getting bored with the game by and I mean by the time that the expansion comes out, is it a thing that's people are just getting bored with the content and a lot of people are not going back and running a lot of the old dungeons to help some of these players, get themselves ready for Heaven's Word? And
I think.
no, go
Sorry, go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
I really think it's just burnout. I think so many people have been getting ready for Heaven's Ward for so long, and now everyone's just burned out about it because there's nothing for them to do anymore. They've crafted what they can craft, they've maxed out all their classes or what they wanted of their classes, and they've gotten the gear that they need for their classes, and people are just burned out. And I really think that happens to a lot of players for a lot of games, not just Final Fantasy. I mean, I know it's happened with me with Ragnarok and EverQuest and World of Warcraft and Terra, where I'd get completely burned out and not want to play for a while or until the expansion comes out. And I mean, I think that's how it is with everybody. It's you get to that point where you've done everything that you can do and you just don't have anything else. Except for maybe crafting or running with friends or pony farm in mine and Aerith's case.
The bane of my existence right now.
Yeah.
I guess I should preference this a little bit because I'm far from getting, far from having max eye level gear. I have yet to go into the Golden Saucer and, partaking in the stuff in there. I'm not the least bit interested in doing a pony farm. And that's where I'm finding myself personally is I'm getting bored, and if I log in anymore, it's to run a dungeon so I can get some poetics, and then I usually log almost immediately off. Is I mean, besides, doing pony farms or doing farms for something, is there stuff people that are bored can start doing to get them back into the swing of things for when Heavenwards comes back out?
Well, I think it really depends on at where you're at. Like for you, you still have things that you need to do, and it's almost like you're running out of time to get them done.
But like I said, when I'm on, instead of, working on these stuff, I'm on for a dungeon run and then I log right back off. Is this because I don't understand why I'm doing this myself, because there's tons for me to do, but yet this is where I'm at, and I'm going to the point where I'm logging in and doing one dungeon, and then I'm like, okay, I'm bored now, logging right back out.
It could just be because of it's a grind for you right now.
That too. A lot of people are just tired of the countless grind and want to pause it before they start Heavensward because that's going to be a whole nother ballpark.
I guess this is true. I don't know. I just find myself, wanting to play other stuff. Like I've been playing, other games besides Final Fantasy 14.
How
And
dare you?
Shun her.
I know, I'm sorry.
To the
It's
corner.
okay. I've been playing Tony Hawk's Underground for no reason at all.
I just pick a random game on my Steam account and start playing.
I
Yeah,
banned both of you to the corner with a dunce cap.
sad face.
So you've been just pretty much just playing Final Fantasy the entire time?
Yep.
That is, I guess, awesome.
Then again, it's different levels for everyone. I truly enjoy it. When I'm on, this is my time, and I really have fun with it. And I just feel like I have so much left to do before Heaven's Sword even comes out.
That's true, and maybe once it gets closer, I'll probably do a mad scramble, be like, "Oh crap! I gotta be on now! I gotta be on now! Crap! Crap! Crap!"
Yeah, no, I'm having enough trouble trying to find a decent static for Heavensward right now, because at the moment we're trying to do statics for Coil, but no one wants to do Coil because Heavensward. Everyone's going to be so busy leveling up and they don't want to grind or even try and learn new fights right now.
That's
People
where
are
I'm
being
at.
lazy.
That's where I'm at too, because I haven't done Goro at all, but yet I have no with Heaven's Word coming out, I don't even want to attempt it.
Why not? Go for it.
Because I don't know, it doesn't seem like I want to do that. I just want, like I said, I just want to go in, maybe talk to a few friends, and then log out or run a dungeon or do something.
I don't think there's going to be much of a reason to really run Coil between now and when Heavensward comes out because it's the eye level caps raising anyways, and most people try and get clears for either purely the clear,
The gear is
the
going to be
farm,
useless.
or the gear, and nobody's gonna want the gear because it's gonna be useless. And I mean, the only other reason to have it is glamour, but even then, there's probably gonna be better stuff with the new expansion coming out.
It is. It's mind-numbing. I mean, I myself got stuck on T9, and when it kind of fell to pieces and fell to shit with my FC, I'm not going to join random groups to go through the headache of Coil for what gear that'll be outdated.
Yeah.
This is true. How's Golden Saucer for everybody?
I do my mini cacpot on a daily, jumbo cacpot when it comes out, and that's usually all I spend at the Golden Saucer now.
Same for me.
It's fun as like a first kind of thing if you're more into I don't know. I honestly I wasn't a fan of the Golden Saucer patch when it first came out. And I'm still not a fan, to be honest.
I don't think enough people win that stupid million, and they put those mounts at such a ridiculous MGP rate. I mean, I saw somebody, I think last week or the week before, actually win it, and they immediately went and got the mount.
We have a couple of people on the server that have the mount. We've got someone that's transferred over with the mount, and then we have somebody that's one that has the mount. And I don't think that it's ridiculously priced. I think it's more something for bragging rights. I think it's, oh, hey, I won this, so haha, be jealous of my cool ass mount.
I love minions and I love mounts, and I just don't want to deal with the triple triad to get all of that.
Oh yeah, fuck that. I've seen somebody spam triple triad until they got their 1 bill or 1 mil or whatever it is.
I've also
I
known a
have like
couple.
110,000, and that I'm good.
I don't know what somebody I know on that, and I'm gonna give a shout out to her right now. Nell Celestine, who's actually been promoting the show as well, which is why I want to give the shout out to her. And she is actually, I think it was last week, was trying to get her one of her triple triad cards. So that's another place to grind, I guess, if you're feeling some lack of days and you're playing, is to try the triple triad, I guess.
I went on the triple triad craze when it first started. I think I have like 68 cards.
Um, Actually, speaking of shout outs, I do have to, I do want to thank all our listeners. Um, I'm going to take this time to do that because I probably should have done it earlier, but kind of forgot. Um, we are now sitting at over 300 listens.
Oh, what the heck? That's
Snap,
awesome.
that's awesome.
Our last episode is sitting at 63 plays at the moment. So, I mean, that's awesome. And the website that we go through has like I guess it's just an estimated listener count. And right now it's at 106. So I really got to thank, give a shout out to everybody that's been listening. But here's some of the interesting stuff, though, because looking at some of the statistics, and I want to give a shout out to people in the United Kingdom. They are the second best country for listening to us. So I do got to give a shout out to there.
What's up, UK?
Hey.
And get this, ladies, we got some really cool listeners in Australia, and actually
Oh.
Avalon, New South Wales. So I gotta thank them too, and give a shout out to them.
What's up, Wales?
I like the diversity.
We do have a very diverse listener base, and I gotta thank everybody for that. And I'm probably gonna mess this up because I have to, but the top city for listening for us is Kissimmee, Florida.
Kissimmee, Florida.
Okay, there you go. I thought I was gonna screw that up, and I did. So
It's
But-
a tricky one.
they are our top city for listening to us. So definitely give a shout out to you guys out there. Thank you. But yeah, I do like the fact that we're actually being listened to in like every geographical location except for Asia at the moment. So I do got to give a shout out to everybody in there.
Didn't we get something from like Australia?
Yeah, I already gave them a shout out.
All right, I fell asleep that part. Well, not really. Shiva's just kicking my butt right now.
Hey. We wiped our time. I didn't get the footage. I thought I did and I didn't, so I have to go in and redo it. But as soon as I get it, I'll link it to you guys.
The crazy thing is we actually got somebody who's listened to us down in Africa. So yeah.
That's awesome. Hello, Africa.
So yeah, I do thank everybody that's listened to us, and if I didn't give a shout out to your country, I'm sorry. Because we really do appreciate everybody that listens to us.
Yes, we do. We thank you. Keep listening. Tell your friends.
And like I said, I was surprised because when we put out our podcast last week, I was not expecting it to climb as fast as it did. I think by Thursday, which would have been not even 5 days after we put it up, we were already at 50 listeners, and that's awesome.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I want to give everybody a shout out to all our listeners out there, and thank you for listening to us. We would not be doing this without our listeners, And more specifically, I gave him a shout out on our Twitter accounts, but more specifically to like Inero. I keep forgetting his last name. Sorry, Inero. Because without him and Limit Break Radio, we would not be in the position we are right now doing this podcast. And I know I gave a shout out to them a couple episodes ago, but I want to do that to again. And to Nell, who's actually been our kind of our spokeswoman, retweeting all our posts and or our tweets and everything. So I want to give her a shout out too. We're going to eventually have her on the show, but
Yay!
just wanted to give a shout out to her because she's been one of the people that's been, helping us out a lot and getting a lot of the listens that we have. So
thank you very, very much.
And I know I played this for you, Aerith, but Limit Break Radio actually gave us a little plug on their show. So I don't know, do you want me to play it now for our listeners, just in case they didn't know what was said?
Yes, definitely.
Tweet from Whispering Dawn. At Limit Break Radio have decided that we are not a worthy podcast. We are the Forgotten Podcast. Guess we will have to work harder to make Senpai notice us.
Aww.
You are noticed, Whispering Dawn.
You are noticed.
What podcast was that?
I don't know.
Well, there you go. There you go. Called you out.
You're an
Called you
asshole.
out.
Look, we haven't followed them yet, which I just did. I fixed that.
We've now followed them.
They are an up-and-coming weekly FF14 podcast, so they're still out and still learning. So,
My goodness.
And we have now plugged them on our community show.
Whispering
Everyone go
Dawn,
check them out.
We didn't plug anything. We don't know what their podcast is. They can't Google it.
How do people find them?
I don't know. Whispering Dawn.
Oh my god.
Well, like,
Oh my god.
because clearly what we do is we sit around and listen to every show that comes out.
You can,
That's what we do
you
on
can
a
find
weekly
them on
basis.
iTunes and Stitcher. That's all I can tell you.
But you know what? We do. When 2.5 came out, I did listen to a lot of the other 2.5 summaries, and you know what? I have to say that I learned something from every different episode. It may have all been sort of centered around the same thing, but absolutely every show brought different insights to the table, and I think that's really indicative of the fascinating, diverse community that exists here in Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of different podcasts. I mean, just right now, I mean, there's you and me, and you guys have your own thing. We have our own thing, and everybody else has their own thing, which is really cool, which gives a lot of variety to people to tune in for something that kind of fits what they want to listen to.
Absolutely.
And goes back to our point about competition earlier, where a little competition makes everyone better.
Absolutely. That's totally true. And, the better that everyone's product, it does. It pushes everyone to be better overall. And I think that, this community is a prime example of that. It happens in other places, but populations of games fall off. Talented people end up moving on to either other games or doing other bigger projects. But FF14's community is vibrant, and it is it's huge and active, and I just all I see is it growing in the future.
Okay, that's the entire thing that he said, but I do thank you guys over at Limit Break Radio, and I really do want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. So
I thank you guys very, very much. That was pretty awesome. Thanks for the shout out.
Thank you guys for the shout out. Super awesome of you guys.
And they do make a good point about competition making everybody better. We're striving to be better every single podcast we do, and hopefully everybody stays and listens to us and be like, hey, that's a good, unique perspective on this that we didn't have before. We're coming on to our time limit here, but there's one thing else I want to talk to you ladies about, and that is something that I don't know if it's like happening to other FCs, but this was brought up to me by other people, and And that's the thing about making alts. If you're because I'm not a FC leader here, so this is not my kind of domain. But should FC leaders actually make alts so they can play in like, I don't know, in semi privacy sometimes to escape the craziness of like FC drama and stuff like that?
Honestly, I think it depends on the FC leader and what their personal, I guess, experiences are. I mean, with some it would be completely okay, but some would probably just not really bother with it. I mean, it depends on the type of FC that you have and so on and so forth. I could see where if you have like a completely static progression based FC, where having an alt would be so much more of a blessing just to get away from all that and get away from, oh, we need to do this, and this right now. And whereas with a more casual FC, I could see where it wouldn't really be too much of an issue. Where I mean, there would really be no point to it because you're already playing with people that you can be casual around anyways and not really have to deal with drama. Hopefully that makes sense.
It made sense to me. Aerith, what's your take on this whole thing? Because I know you're like kind of a leader of an FC there as well.
The thought crossed my mind, but at the end, I put too much work into my main characters. And I don't want to have to create a whole different lie or a persona of a different person and run with a different crew. I trust the people I play with, and I just deal with shit as it comes.
And I just want to point out that, Final Fantasy XIV is a lot different than other MMOs as well. With different MMOs, you're stuck into that job role, and having an alt on, like, let's say Lord of the Rings Online or WoW or Ragnarok Online is almost a must if you want to play other classes. But here, all your classes and all your jobs can be just done all on one character. So I don't know if it's this necessity to have an alt in this game, or what even an alt purpose would be, other than to...
Some people do it for retainers.
Okay.
Some people do it for retainers. Some people, like you guys mentioned earlier, do it just to be able to escape, to, just get away and breathe from drama and nonsense. I personally, I put my all into the character I have and the classes she has, and I'm not gonna go and run and hide anywhere else. I'll just deal with shit as it comes.
Yeah, honestly, that too. I can't see myself running to an alt. If I have something that's going on Final Fantasy that's bugging me, then I probably shouldn't be playing. Because chances are it's something that's going to bug me enough even if I'm on an alt. And that's not going to be something that Final Fantasy can help. That's where I need to escape myself and I need to get off of Final Fantasy. I need to learn, hey, I need to take a step back. I need to go do something else. Because if I'm thinking about playing on an alt because I want to escape from my FC or other people that I'm supposedly friends with, then, that's just something that I probably shouldn't be on in the first place. Because it's probably just going to cause more issues with myself because I'm probably already upset or mad or annoyed enough.
That makes a lot of sense, and I kind of agree with that too. And like I said, for other games, it's actually almost a necessity if you want to play a different class to have an alt. But I can see why people do alts in this game. But it's almost like it's not even a necessity to have any alts at all. Am I correct in saying that at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to find something here real quick. So, Is there anything we want to talk about at the moment?
Flying chocobos. Flying fat chocobos.
That was awesome. when they did that in the thing, that made me laugh. I love that.
I saw a YouTube video about it and I almost broke. Like, I was just dying. It was fantastic. And you know what I think is really cool is that they were mentioning something about wind currents as well, and having to explore different areas to get different stuff so you can fly in certain areas.
Yeah, the way they were making it out to be was that you actually had to have, like, you get the ability to fly at the beginning of the storyline. However, for each individual area to be able, before you can fly in those areas, you have to find the wind currents, and it could be either an aetherite or something that you have to find, or an item or something.
That's going to be so much fun.
I think that was such a brilliant idea on Essie's part, because honestly, it makes it to where people can't just bypass everything. They actually have to explore and they have to take the time to look through stuff rather than just rushing through everything.
Okay, I think I found what I wanted. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it's something I definitely did want to talk about. And that's the rumor going around that Blitzball is probably going to be added to Final Fantasy XIV.
Oh, I hope so. I hope so.
That'd
so
be
much.
fun.
I guess the comment was from Naoki, Yoshi P there, that said that that they wanted to have bits of Final Fantasy X, 15, and other Square titles to crop up in the MMO one day. So everybody's like, well, there goes Blitzball.
Honestly, my only reaction to that is the laugh scene in 10. Oh no.
Have you played 10-2 at all?
Yeah.
Because the final one scene of that is just so much, is just as powerful.
I really need to set up sound effects for my computer and in general for whenever we do these podcasts.
Why?
Oh, no specific reason.
I've been thinking about doing that myself too, just having like some sounds just come in at various times.
I don't know. Something satisfying about hearing this like mid podcast just sounds so fantastic. Check link in the chat.
Oh god, not this scene. I love that scene, and yes, we should definitely play that on the podcast at some point.
That's what I was talking about when I said laugh scene.
Oh, okay.
Just I don't know why I associate Blitzball with that so much.
I don't either, because that's not even like a Blitzball type of scene.
Yeah, no, I know.
But before you go, there's actually one more thing I wanted to talk about, and I actually remember it. I don't remember like the post. It was on one of our podcast posts for a Final Fantasy group, and I can't find it now because it's been just too long. And it said something about having, I guess, basically doing like hard modes of how pre-50 dungeons were like very difficult, especially like Ormvale or Innerbor Keep before they nerfed like the demon wall, and how a lot of the after 50 dungeons are not really that hard at all. I don't know where he was going with that when he was posted, but what do you guys think about, or you ladies think about that at all? The whole thing with the a lot of the pre-50 dungeons being harder, and trying to get some of the dungeons coming out to be just as hard as those. Or did I make no sense there?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? Because I just got kicked in the face by Shiva.
Oh, I'm sorry. Basically, what do you think about having some more dungeons that are as hard as some of the pre-50 dungeons, such as like Orem Vale and Anibor Keep before like the Demon Wall nerf, as opposed to some of the after 50 dungeons, which don't seem hard at all?
I prefer it before they rigged it and fixed it for people that were crying about it. Because it was doable. It was passable. You just had to work together and you had to understand the mechanics. So I would prefer it to be at the harder than just easy so anybody can just walk through it. Once again, it still goes back to learn your class and learn how to follow a mechanic and pay attention a bit. And it can be quite enjoyable, and you work more with people and work better with people for it, I think.
I absolutely. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I really do dislike whenever games nerf dungeons, because it's all you're doing is you're making it easier for other people, and they can't learn their classes efficiently as they should be. And I mean, the whole experience should be like, it shouldn't be, oh, hey, I cleared this, no big deal, it was easy. I honestly think that if you go into a dungeon, and especially if it's something that's supposed to be difficult, then it should stay difficult. It shouldn't be something that gets nerfed to the ground where it's dropped that easy. Like Steps of Faith. I was so proud that I cleared it my first time, and then they
Me
nerfed
too.
it, and I was like, oh, well, now it doesn't even matter. It's like that with so many games, too, because people, and this is just with so many dungeons. I know Terra's done it. I'm pretty sure every MMO has done it at least once, where they'd have a really difficult dungeon, people would complain, and then they'd nerf it, and it's just, they're just attending to the more casual players, and MMOs have both. They have more progression based, more hardcore players, and more casual players. But it's, don't nerf something to the point where it's the easiest thing in the world to complete. If other players did their hardest, like they tried their best to complete something, you're just taking away from that. And honestly, that's just so stupid.
Yes, I agree with this, and I think we went over this, when we're talking about the Steps of Faith nerf, and I agree with that. It's getting to the point where, are we actually into an entitlement type of setting now, where if players don't like something and they complain loud enough, it's going to get changed?
That's what they've set it up for already. I agree 100% with everything that's been said so far as that's concerned. We take Amapor Keep and the Demon Wall. Demon Wall was annoying as hell, getting used to it, understanding the mechanic, but then it was easy. And then for all the people who went through everything, even down to the Atma grind, and spend so much time doing that, to have somebody come 2 months later and, oh, I got all my Atmas in one day. You didn't earn it. That you just walked into that. Either that or give me a mount or something, some kind of reward, some minions or mounts for going through it.
Oh man, honestly, that's how I feel with a lot of the primals now too. Because whenever they originally came out, the eye levels were around 70 to 90 respectively. And people go in at 120 and 130 eye level now and clear it without a problem. And then people still bitch about mechanics, saying, "Oh, this is too hard," or "Oh, this isn't something I should be able to do. They need to nerf it, or they need to change it, or whatever." And it's like people have cleared it with lower eye levels and them just barely getting to it. And
Exactly.
now there's guides everywhere, like Titan Extreme, Shiva, Rama, and it's like, why are you gonna complain about something where somebody's had to do something so much harder? And it's, I have mad respect for anybody that cleared Titan whenever it first came out. Because I can even now, it's so difficult to find a decent party that can clear it without having issues, even with eye level 120 or 130.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just like, why are you gonna complain about something like that? Get the fuck over it and stop learn your class. Learn to dodge it, learn your class, and learn to focus target. Because 99% of problems in games, dive bombs, specifically dive bombs for Tintania, dive bombs and twisters for Tintania and landslides, you can dodge if you have the boss targeted or focus targeted.
Yep.
Or targeted in general if you're a DPS. So there's really no excuse.
I kind of agree with this. I unfortunately came into the game where, I'm probably like the person that's played, the least amount of time in this podcast, and I didn't get to experience, in the board keep with the demon wall spitting bees at people. But the first time I went through it, I went through with, a friend, and she was saying, "Oh yeah, this used to be harder. They used the wall used to spit bees at us, and now it doesn't do that anymore." And I'm kind of like, but I want to see the bees coming out of the wall so I can make the obligatory "oh my bees, oh my god" reference from the Ricker Man. I can't do that, and that kind of makes me kind of mad. The only dungeon that I've actually seen that was kind of hard when it came out from the post 50 stuff was Satasha hard mode. And that was probably hard for like the first week, and then everybody got the mechanics down and started beating it like right out. But I really do think that one was really hard when it first came out. And that's the only one that's been hard since then, but except for, Steps of Faith. But we all know what happens to Steps, and that one's a joke now anymore.
Oh man, that too. With new dungeons coming out and stuff like World of Darkness and CT and ST, and rather, the Labyrinth of the Ancients and Cypress. It's people farmed those until they learned the mechanics, and yet I still see people complain about how the dungeons are difficult, and I'm just like, really?
Tell me about it. I still have problems with that in Labyrinth of the Ancients.
And this goes for every dungeon, every primal, every trial, every freaking anything. I've seen so many people complain about how something is so difficult, and I'm just like, there are people that cleared this, like, they grinded it until they learned the mechanics. You can too. Especially whenever you're in a group with people that are probably way more geared than you. It's because nowadays it's more or less you've got one group, give or take about 5 or 6 people that are new to a dungeon, or depending on what you're doing, like Labyrinth, Labyrinth, ST, or WAD, and they don't know the mechanics. And then they bitch about how, oh, this is whatever or anything else. And then same thing goes vice versa. There are people that bitch about people that don't know mechanics, but I mean, you've got to want to learn the mechanics, but at the same time, you can't bitch at somebody for not knowing the mechanics of a dungeon if it's their first time. And it's really a two-way street. It's people that want things handed to them and people that are so entitled that think, oh, this should be this way because right now it's just too difficult, or people that are just, I did it this way, so, you should be too. And I mean, there's no middle ground for it either. That's the really unfortunate thing. And I think if an MMO or whatever company releases anything, they need to keep it how it is, unless it's a major, major issue. And that, if nobody can clear it. Also, that was very scattered, so I'm so sorry.
I got all of it.
I did too. The one thing I do want to, to say is there's a hashtag that Limit Break Radio actually started, and I kind of agree with it on the fundamental spot, and that's the whole hashtag Get Good. If you're complaining about mechanics, start learning the mechanics. If veterans, if these new players are coming in saying, I don't know the mechanics, take the time to walk them through the thing. It's up to that new player then to listen to you and be like, okay, this is what I have to do. And new players, I hate to say this, but if somebody's trying to walk you through the mechanics, don't tell them, I want to learn it by trial and error, because that's not how you're going to get good either. You have to listen to people, and yes, you are paying to play this game, but fundamentally this is an MMO, and that is massively multiplayer online. You're going to be interacting with people, and the communication needs to be there between all players. And that's why we have, nerfs to Steps of Faith, because for that one, you needed communication to actually clear it. And that's what we were not getting, and we got it nerfed. It's going to be the same thing with a lot of other dungeons down the future. And, if there's no communication and nobody's taking the time to explain mechanics, or people are not taking the time to actually listen to mechanics, we're going to be put in situations where this game is just going to be easy mode for everybody. Hopefully that didn't come off too rambly.
Oh,
No, that was good.
I honestly, I don't know. I don't like the term get good or stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe I'm just one of those people that doesn't like in-game harassment towards other people, and it's just one of those things where it's why would you sit there and tell somebody hey, get good, depending I don't know, they might be new to a dungeon. It might be the first time that they've played their class in that dungeon or anything like that. And again, like I said earlier, there's really no middle ground for it.
There isn't, but there are some people that do need to get good.
Oh, yeah, no. If you've played your class up until 15, you've been carried through everything. That I understand.
I think the whole get good thing is not for new players that are just trying to learn the class and everything. The whole get good thing is for people that's at level 50, I level 130, that's been through every single dungeon in this game multiple times and still don't know how to play the mechanics of that dungeon.
Well, see, it's more than just that with what I was trying to say, though. It's that I've seen people say that to newcomers in stuff like WoD or in CT or freaking, I always say CT and ST, and I'm so sorry because some people won't know what that is, but it's just it's one of those things where it's like, really, like, I don't know. I always see people complaining about mechanics in World of Darkness, and I mean, I kind of understand it, but at the same time, it's you don't know who might be new and who might not be. But there's a group of, I want to say, what is 24 people?
Yeah, I believe so.
And
Yeah.
it's I don't know. It's easy to get carried through stuff. I completely agree with that, though. I don't know.
It does, and I mean, you can get carried very easily. I've done it a couple times in WoD when I really don't want to play, but I just want to get through the dungeon. I'll do minimum effort and get carried the entire way. I'm going to admit that now, because it does happen. And at the same time, there's a lot of times when I'm playing through WOD and I'm spot on with everything, but there's other people that, going back to the whole thing conversation about you don't know who's a good player or a new player and who's like a veteran. Maybe the new player needs to speak up a little bit at that point and go, hey, I'm new to this dungeon. What do I need to do? Because like you said, you don't know who's new and who's a veteran at any point when you start a dungeon. I mean, the only clue you have that there's somebody new is, there's a little thing that comes up on almost every single chat bar that says something about having an elevated tombstone at the end of the thing. I forget the exact wording of that. But that's the only clue that you're going to have somebody new into that party or into that dungeon or anything. And that's when you need to be like, okay, this message just came up. We need to take the time to explain something to these people.
I think
I'm sorry, you think what?
sorry, mic problem.
That's okay. Go ahead and finish the thought, though.
I think when you're dealing with people, if they're a new player, it's expected that they're going to need some help. And I think it's up to people who are more veterans to try to help guide them if they're open to the suggestion. There are going to be some people that no matter what, they don't want the spoilers. They don't want to see videos. They don't want to see this. They want to experience it the same way we experienced it when we went through. Um, and that's their right. That's their prerogative. Now, I also don't think that you should go through that if you're a terrible player. A good player will take advice. Will say, okay, well, if that's the easiest way for it, I didn't know that mechanic. I'm sorry, let's try again. Speak up. Let people know you're new. People tend to be more patient if they know, okay, you're new, so since you're the healer, I'm going to tell you where you should be or follow me and, to make it easier. That's for dungeons. I think people that go into coils, go into primal EX runs, not even having seen a video is wrong. I think you should take the time since someone already put the video out so you can know the mechanics, make it smoother. You're still going to make a few mistakes, but the people that are going through these runs want to get through it and they're going for loot drop or ponies or whatever it may be. You shouldn't expect to be carried through your primals. Maybe through hard modes, not through EXs.
Honestly, I think that if you're trying to go for like full clears, that you really shouldn't be going through Duty Finder.
Unfortunately, a lot of people do though. It's part of it. Some people only do it through Duty Finder. Some people don't have FCs that will run them through it or don't. There are some people that don't want to be in a free company and just want to run it with completely random people. So when you're going to run something like that, have at least a basic knowledge of what to kind of expect and where to kind of go. I've been doing the pony farms for the last 2, 3 weeks, and I've come into Shiva where there are some people that come in, hi, I'm new, where should I stand? Every 2 seconds they're dying. You try to tell them where to go, mark me, follow me, go this way. Honestly, I think go into Duty Finder, get your feet wet, get all your deaths out of the way, and then create a party on Party Finder and go for it. But don't just come in expecting to go through something as critical as like a Shiva fight where literally every person is playing a critical role. You need all the DPS. Your healers need to know what they're doing and need to know how to stay alive. Your tank has to know at what point to turn Shiva. You know, you can't expect to come in. I went to a Shiva run where a tank was brand new and had no idea any stance that Shiva was in. Needless to say, we wiped about 7 times before everybody voted abandon.
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't think that. Hang on, I am getting spaced out really bad. I feel like, and even some cases, like especially with Shiva, that watching a video isn't always sufficient because it's one of those things where it's like it's a whole different ballpark whenever you actually get into a Shiva fight. If that makes any sense. Because I mean, I watched the Shiva video 4 to 5 times, and it still took me a good 3 or 4, if not more, like days to actually figure out what I was supposed to do entirely.
Oh yeah, it took me a couple of few deaths. I'll say that I feel like my first time I did Shiva, I felt like I got carried. I was pretty much face down on the floor most of the time because the double lines from top and bottom were just throwing me completely off. Um, Now I've been doing it so much as I've pretty much been doing it religiously for almost 2 weeks. It's fluid for me. I know exactly where I should be. I know where I should go. I know what position she's going to be in. I understand it. You're going to get you're going to get killed a few times to understand it, but there are certain people that can understand it after their death and they adapt and they learn, and then there are people that don't bother trying to understand what killed them. What can they do different? And those are the type of people that can make the game really bad for other people.
Yeah.
That takes a part of the game away. You don't want to learn, you just want somebody to hold your hand through everything. You created your character on your own. You've got to level your character on your own. People will help you, people will show you, people will tell you, but if you don't have the want to understand what kills you, then you're going to screw your party up every single time.
I agree with that a lot. As somebody who's actually getting really good at playing Scholar now, every time I go into like WOD or when I do Pirate Finder now, and I'm getting put into Keeper of the Lake now, every single time I go through Duty Finder on that to get my poetics, I'm understanding these fights, and when I go into them, I'm getting to know where I should be standing every time. If this happens, if I get this debuff, where should I be standing at that moment? And it's getting to the point where, okay, I can probably teach people as I'm coming in, but a lot of people, like you said, if you wipe like once or twice, if you wipe twice and you're new, maybe at that point you should be like, what do I need to do so we can get past this? Instead of continually just going there and dying and be like, oh, okay, let's do this again.
Exactly. And I must say that I am extremely upset at the Shiva gods for not wanting to release this pony to me. I have never rolled worse in my entire life. Every single time that stupid whistle drops.
Except, I think you said the ones where you get rolled at 96, but somebody beats you.
Oh my god, you just reminded me of that, and that annoyed me. I did Shiva, I was so excited. I had seen 3 people get a pony. It dropped. I rolled a 97. My husband was right next to me. He was like, yes, hon, 97. Somebody won by a 99.
That sucks right there, but at least you got a good roll, and probably could have won if that person didn't said, hey, I kind of need this or whatever.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have never rolled that high again. And you've asked me every single time, did you get the pony yet? I'm actively doing it every single day. I farm Shiva for several hours. And if the pony drops and when it drops, my rolls seem to be the worst. It's just, it makes no sense. And it's the last pony that I need.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have that problem at the moment, so.
You will. You will.
We'll see. I'm not to the point where I want a pony farm yet, so. We'll see after I get Astrologian and start taking Astrologian into these fights so I can get the primal weapons for Astrologian.
I'm excited to actually see how the primal weapons that they add on, that I guess people will go back just for glamour, like from Shiva for Astrologian, how that's gonna look.
Oh, I'm definitely one of those people. I'm already telling myself, one of these days I'm gonna clear every single hard mode or EX that there is, so I can be okay, now I can get into this fight. I know this fight now, and let me just farm for this weapon now for my Astrologian.
I've gotten every single Shiva weapon, every single Garuda weapon, and almost all the Titan ones.
I want the Shiva weapons only because I have this thing with ice for some reason.
Oh, then you know what you need to do. Once you get your Astrologian up there, you need to farm Shiva. I think that and the Dark Knight's weapon are the 2 ones that I'm looking forward to seeing how the Shiva glamour is. And I also am interested in seeing if they add on to any of the pony drops as far as a flying mount drop.
From the benchmark, it looks like a flying sea dragon thingy.
I thought that would maybe drop from Leviathan, but it could also be from Bismarck or from, one of the new primals. I'm wondering if the new primals are only going to drop flying mounts or if they're going to drop flying mounts and ponies.
Okay, Aerith, I gotta ask you a question because in the live letter they did actually let us see Ravenna finally. I think that's the name of that one.
Yeah.
You know Star Wars, right?
Yes, I do.
Did that not look like General Grievous?
It did. And I had that exact same conversation with a friend of mine, and then another friend of mine thinks that it doesn't, but I think it did.
It looks like General Grievous with bug wings on him.
It goes back to SE likes to pay homage to a lot of other things that are in, dare I say, the nerd culture.
Yeah, well, us nerdy girls kind of pick up on some of that stuff, so. I just want them to do other Square Enix properties because I think that'd be awesome to get a considering that this has been in the news lately for gaming, a Bravely Default outfit or something like that. I mean, to me that would be awesome.
Yeah, I really want to see more outfits come in. I'm kind of not happy with the ones that they have now. I have, my monk is 130. It has everything that it can have right now. I don't really have it glamored other than I made it all Snow White. Just so it can stand out and I can see my character when I'm fighting everything. But I do want to try to get into the glamoring bit a little bit more.
I mean, that'd be awesome. Especially a lot of the Final Fantasy X-2 outfits. I'd love to be able to see in this game.
Holy shit!
That
I
would
would love
be awesome.
Yuna's fucking outfit.
I'm sorry.
I would love Yuna's main dress.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
SE, you got a market right here. You can sell this stuff on the cash shop if you wanted to.
Oh my god, the market boards are going to be ridiculous when things start dropping at Heavensward. It'll last like they'll put it, all the people that are going in for pre-orders are going to get all this stuff and put it on the market board, so when it opens to the general public, so to speak, it's going to be ridiculously priced until they start getting it also from farming or whatever. So, note to self, put stuff up, sell high, sell fast.
I'm thinking about. I think that's going to happen no matter what. I think in the pre-release you're going to have that, and I think people are going to buy it before they can even get into it. I can actually see that happening. People just buying stuff even though they can't use it yet, just because I don't think SE is going to be like the kind of company that's going to have like parallel servers running, one with people that have Heavensward early access and people that don't. I think everybody's going to be on the same server still.
Yeah.
So the market boards, I think, are going to have like a lot of the new items, and people are going to buy them, so that way when they get access, they can start just throwing the stuff on, and you probably might even see some of these people actually glamour a lot of these items beforehand.
Oh, I'm going to have my monk glamored with something new because I plan to have my monk to 60 pretty quickly. Hopefully.
I might actually do that with my scholar to begin with, only because I have a daunting task ahead of me with Astrologian, and I got to get that from 30 to 60.
At least it's from 30 to 60 and not from 1 to 60.
Oh god, if it was 1 to 60, I'd just be like pulling my hair out. Like, I'd love it, don't get me wrong, because it would make me actually... Because that's the one thing I like about going from 1 to 50 right now is... If you start out at 1, you're actually learning all these skills as you're, coming across them. Once I get to Astrologian, I got 30 levels worth of skills already that I'm going to have to learn in a short amount of time.
That's going to be fun, but I mean, I'm not going to mess with a Dark Knight until I get my main where my main should be. It's going to be very tempting, and I really, really want to be up there with other people leveling Dark Knights. And I'm just looking forward to having fast Qs as a tank, because as a DPS, our Qs suck.
I really don't think there's going to be fast queues at all on Heavensward. I think the queues are going to be so long for every class.
I don't think so. I actually don't. Just because if you look at even Steps of Faith, I expected to have a long wait. And it really wasn't that long of a wait getting in. And I mean, I had to go back in several times because people would just get frustrated and give up and just vote abandon, and until we finally got a group that, was willing to go through it. But I don't think the waits will be that ridiculously long. At least I hope not. Maybe that's just my optimism speaking.
I think what's going to happen is during early access, a lot of the time classes are going to be bringing the queue times down a lot. After Heavenward drops formally, I think that's when we're going to start seeing a lot of people gravitating towards Dark Knight, therefore pushing the queue times up for a tank.
So what do you think? You're thinking that tank's going to be the most leveled up class, finally?
I think to begin with, so people, because it seems like the more interest is not into like Astrologian or even Machinist at the moment. It is Dark Knight that a lot of people are more interested in. So I think once Heavenward's proper itself drops is when we're going to see a lot of people going into the tank queues as a Dark Knight to get that up there.
I could see that.
I honestly see, because the Subs of Faith, it wasn't like a new class coming out. It was people coming out with a new dungeon. I think that the Ting class is gonna be probably the most played out of the three, because I think it's gonna be Dark Knight, Astrologian, and then Machinist. But then again, that's just.
I think you're right there. I think that's exactly the order it's going to be. I think Dark Knight's going to be the most played, then Astrologian, and then Machinist.
I think so too, but I think for most of the veteran players, I think maybe 85 to 90% are going to focus on their main before they jump on something new. I think most of the people that are doing pre-orders are not going to jump on something new. I don't expect to see a whole bunch of, level 30, any of the new classes running around. I expect to see everybody trying to get there before everybody else comes in.
Definitely. I'm getting my white mage leveled before I level up anything else.
That's why I said during early access, a lot of the people is going to be jumping on like Dark Knight, because the queue times for tank classes at that point, and I don't know the exact numbers for how many people got early access and how many don't, but I think, in my opinion, a lot of people are going to try to get Dark Knight within, at least within to 50 by the time early access is done, because that's when a lot of the queue times are going to be low for them.
That too. I think so many people are gonna go for Dark Knight during freaking, I can't even talk right now, I'm so tired. During early access. And that's when people are gonna strike the most. They're gonna get their Dark Knight leveled, or Astrologian, depending on what you want. And then they're gonna level up their main class during the actual release.
Yeah, that's what I plan on doing myself. As soon as Steam gets off their butts and makes the release.
Early June is what they said.
They're cutting it real close.
Well, they also said beforehand that was supposed to be like mid-May, so I don't know what to believe.
I expect it to be released within this next week.
I hope so.
Are you Steam?
Nope.
Now, let me ask you a question. Since you're not Steam, where did you pre-order your Heavensward at?
I pre-ordered it straight from the site.
Okay, I did too, and I received an email telling me that a few days ago that on the 1st we would be they would be basically pulling the money for the pre-order, because I got a collector's edition for PS4 and my husband got the digital download. I've been checking my email all damn day for confirmation that they pulled.
I didn't order my own. Somebody else bought it for me, so I couldn't tell you.
Fancy.
Yeah. If anything, I don't even know if they sent you the confirmation email. I would really just check your bank account.
I have. Hasn't pulled yet.
Is there even a pending on it yet?
No, but I know there are so many orders that they have to process and they have to go through.
You did order the physical edition as well.
I ordered the physical, but the physical comes with whatchamacallit, it comes with the early access, so I get a code. And they did send me an email that had a code for the PS4 and a code for the computer, for a PC for my husband. So I'll still be able to do it via the PSN, and that's, like I told Loth earlier, that's a whole nother. Hopefully the PSN network has no issues come time for early access, because server having a problem would be a gigantic problem if PSN went down during that point.
Yeah.
And I just see that being a huge target for these stupid hackers that want to, they're trying to make a point to big corporations, but they're only hurting the people that are having fun.
Well,
Okay.
people that aren't smart target the corporations themselves and not the hackers that do it. And I mean, I know a lot of people that blame like Sony if they get hacked, and if PlayStation Network goes down, they're gonna be blaming Sony. They're not gonna be blaming the people that did it.
I won't. I blamed Blizzard Squad the last time. I didn't blame Sony. Sony didn't ask for them to come hack them and lock out all these people from playing. It's not their fault. You know, it's their fault as far as maybe they need to step up their damn security with the amount of money that they got.
Yeah.
Take it up a notch already. I mean, look how much you charge for the PS4, and for every game alone and accessory, you can afford to get a better, tighter security.
Well, anyway, unfortunately, we have to get going here. We've been doing this for about 2 hours now.
Oh man.
Wow.
So yeah, we're gonna wrap this up. As usual, the way we do this is I say my goodbyes, and then because if I don't have these lovely ladies with me, this podcast would be boring. So I let them take us out. So I'm gonna say goodbye, and go ahead, ladies. Take us out of here.
Thanks to all of our listeners, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for all the listeners. Keep listening and send us emails, questions, and we look forward to talking to you guys again next week.
About to send us topics to talk about. Maybe it'll be featured.
Yeah.